A new patch has landed in Infinite Galaxy that has a lot of really great fixes and starts to address a little bit of the cruiser imbalance. Stick around in this video as we walk through everything you need to know. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming and this video has been sponsored by the makers of Infinite Galaxy, and I love that we get new patches like every week, every other week in this game. It is fantastic. So we need to walk through the things that have changed, and I really like a lot of what is here. Now the first thing that's mentioned is that after a commander spaceport has been destroyed, you're going to get resources from the Steam Alliance. Basically, the game is going to send you some resources because you got wrecked. That's a good thing. In my book, I think that's a great call. If I'm understanding this correctly, I mean, okay, so I haven't been burned. I haven't had my spaceport destroyed. But I think that means if you lose a combat against another player, right, you basically have your fleet get knocked all the way down to 0 when somebody's hitting your city. And I think the game will send you resources, which seems good. Also, there's a chance that that could be abused by people who have farm accounts. I need to go and explore that because basically what I understand is that maybe you could bring your warships out of your city or out of your spaceport, then you loot your own farm by attacking it repeatedly, but because it's burning and is destroyed, the Steam Alliance might send you resources. I guess it just says there's a chance to receive them, but if you've got a farm and you get resources for this, let me know down below in the comments. I would be very eager to see that. I guess the easy way to kind of avoid this problem is the amount of resources you receive will be based on the number of warships you have get wounded while your spaceport is getting hit, but that's just the first thing in the list. They've also greatly reduced the number of resources needed to repair flagships. Beautiful. And more importantly, reduce the ratio of ships that need repair from things like Starfield stages, AGN Gate, Imperial Forts, Secret Signal, Deep Space Relics, and other gameplay. Hallelujah! This change was so needed. I can't even... this is amazing. Okay, the problem with a game that requires team participation, but also has very high repair costs for players that participate, is that because you're so strapped for resources in this game, people don't participate. They get the same rewards just about as all the people who did participate. It's close enough that, like, you know, you don't want to get 2 days worth of repairs playing in the event when your rewards are not that much better for playing in the event. And so people just don't play, which means the people who do play have a higher repair cost. You see the negative cycle that takes place there? So by removing the repair cost for participating in these events, I think they make it so more people will want to play, which reduces everybody's repair costs even more because more people are playing, which spreads around the repairs and reduces the repairs that everybody has. This is just a good change, is what I should say. Commanders who join the Purity Protocol will no longer produce ships needing repair. Hallelujah, praise be. Commanders whose fleets have been defeated by the Sanctifier cruiser or carrier and other enemies will only be converted to damage status. They go back to your spaceport, but it sounds like you're not going to get big repairs. Beautiful. That's beautiful. I love this. In the Kill Space Pirates phase of the Galaxy Star event, you can also get event points by attacking Deep Space Relics. It just makes sense. For those of you that play Rise of Kingdoms with me, it's kind of like a barbarian fort, except in this game, you actually get credit, extra credit, for battling pirates when you attack a Deep Space Relic. That's fantastic. They have reduced the difficulty to get individual point rewards in the Arcane Ghost Ship event. That is really good for newer players in the game, where it is a little bit more difficult to get those individual points. They've also adjusted the skills of a couple flagships. This is actually really important. Shield defense for flagships Artemis and Orion. This is the frigate flagships. They remove the debuff effect of the reduced fleet range. So now the Artemis does not have a reduced fleet range. That means the Artemis is not going to be put closer to the enemy than all the other flagships. They also reduced the increased defense values at the same time. I actually think this might be a nerf to the tankiness of the Artemis. Because before, if I understand this correctly, the Artemis had to be closer, okay? And that would mean that you are guaranteed to be tanking, but you were also more tanky in general. Sounds like they reduced the tankiness, but also make it so you're not the first one to get hit. I am not sure how I feel about this. Let me know down below in the comments if this is a nerf, if this is a buff, what you think of this change overall. in general, I think the tankiness you had before was better. So they might be balancing the tankiness of the Artemis overall. It also means that other people who bring frigates are also going to have their frigates get hurt, which is, I guess, good if you were the one previously footing the repair bill for the entire operation. Looking to the next change in the patch, I believe this is going to be the Cyclops and Brontes. So now we're looking at cruisers. They adjusted the skill Last Resort, removing the debuff effects of the reduced fleet shield and reduced the attack boost. So basically what this skill was doing before, which was very, 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 very strong on the Brontes, is it was making it so that you had less shields on your cruisers, but you had even more attack. So now they said, okay, we're not going to give you the shield reduction, and we're going to reduce the amount of attack that you're getting. So basically, if you're actually fighting it, and people went and they tested this, and I appreciate the folks that did that in my nebula, and they found that actually cruisers perform better when they're fighting on their own. In other words, if I go fight pirates, my cruisers are going to perform better than they were before because, I mean, I had a shield reduction before, and now I'm not losing my shields. That's very good. But if you're in a big pileup, in other words, you're battling something where lots of flagships and warships are all stacking up and stacking up and stacking up in a huge fight. I'll have a card up in the top if you want to see fights that are like that. This is going to be worse than it was before. The Brontes and the Cyclops will not be as strong as they were because those cruisers were the last thing to get hit anyways. Your cruisers may never have been hit at all. So of course you want less shields on your cruisers in exchange for more attack. That's all straight upside in that situation. So for those big pileups, I think the Brontes and the Cyclops are slightly weaker, but I want to emphasize the slightly nature. These are slight changes. These are tweaks. They're not throwing the baby out without, with the bathwater here. I think the Cyclops and the Brontes are still beast. If you're free to play, you still go in on those. They're beast. You would still use them. They're fantastic, okay, just to be clear. But it is a slight rebalancing, and I like that they're doing slight rebalances and not just like completely uphauling or overhauling the meta here. Okay, so they've also adjusted the properties of laser weapons. This is very important, and we'll show you this. They lowered the values for the shield against laser reduced damage effect. Okay, so shields reduce the damage taken by lasers, and they have lowered the extent to which shields are doing that. So this is good. Lasers actually are more effective now against targets that have shields, if I'm understanding this correctly. And they slightly reduced the damage of laser weapons at the same time. Okay, so what they've basically done is they have actually slightly nerfed laser weapons, if I'm reading this correctly. This seems like a nerf to laser weapons, which, like, cruisers kind of needed a nerf, folks. They're a little OP here. They slightly reduced that, but they've also made lasers more effective against shields. Before, I think this was minus 30% effectiveness against shields, and now it's only minus 15% effectiveness against shields. And you have to take out the shields before the warships will take damage anyways. So I think overall, it's probably a fine change. I think they're just starting to address the fact that the way the game works today, it's just very, very, very advantageous to be using cruisers, as I understand it, in a big pileup. You're the last one to lose your ships, and you want to do as much damage as possible until those cruisers actually do start taking damage at all, because, again, they're the last thing to get hit. But if I'm misunderstanding or misinterpreting any of this stuff, just let me know down below in the comments, and I'd be very eager to read those and highlight some of those comments. Now, if I make my way back to the changes here, they've also redesigned the UI a little bit. The whole design is even more concise. Yes, resource packs look a little bit different, so I can show you that right over here. Also, I recognize I just skipped something in that list. So these do look a little different than they did before, and I like that the background is colored in a way that shows you the rarity of the token that I'm looking at. Also, some of these things definitely just make more sense. Like, this makes more sense to me. The way Corium looks, like, I look at that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely Corium. Whereas before, I was maybe a little bit uncertain as to, like, what exactly am I looking at here? We'll claim this VIP while I'm at it. Hello, baby. And if we make our way back over here to the mail, a couple last things we need to talk about. The cost for the number of Alliance reserves to teleport an Alliance outpost increases along with the number of Alliance territories and teleport times. Now, I know this was going up before, so I'm not sure what extra variable they've kind of added in now. Basically, you can relocate your Alliance outposts, which is Very, 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 very important when you're moving from zone to zone. And they're basically saying the cost to do that is now going up with the number of times you've relocated. And I think, what did it say? The number of outposts that you have. Is that what it was? Increases with the number you have. Yep. And the number of teleport times. So I think that is fairly logical. You just need to be really smart with your territory. The more you move it around, the more expensive that's going to be. So that will become a problem at some point. I don't know how expensive, but it will almost certainly still be cheaper to relocate than to build from scratch. If there ever were a threshold where it was more expensive to build from scratch, you'd almost always build from scratch, unless you're doing some sort of offensive operation that requires you to move your territory and have territory, in which case the structure's already half built. I think it's probably always going to be less to relocate than it is to build new. The other thing they did is they expanded the ranks of the treaty chests from 3 to 6, and they improved the rewards of the treaty chests. That is awesome. We're already getting a ton of treaty chests here in Nebula 13. You're welcome to join us if you'd like to start a new account here, or when migration opens up. Hey, join us in Nebula 13. We're going to have a great nebula here. We're already orchestrating diplomacy across nebulas. Props to the one and only EQ. That's actually her name is the one and only EQ. That wasn't my, you know, propping up her name as EQ being the one and only. Anyways, if you go to the Alliance gifts, the treaty chests now have more rewards and they can go up to rank 6. Hello, we're well on our way. We'll rank this thing up and get those sweet rewards. That sounds fun. And the final things in here, what else did we have? We cruise on down. Optimize the UI display of the outfitting factory. I got to look. Optimize the display for some of the info icons. Cool. I didn't look close enough to see kind of what all those detailed things were, but I'll take their word that things look better. While we're here, let's just go open up some of these other things we had sitting around. I generally wait for streams or videos like this to rip some open. So secret prototype devices, 11 of them. Give me good stuff, please. Theseus. Oh, okay. Flagship I'm not using. Skip. And Peleus. I do gather with this flagship. Okay, skip. All right. 1 Peleus, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. 300 Federation Advanced credits, 300 Federation credits. Yeah, sure, no Brontus. Whatever, I guess I only opened 11. I don't know, these prototype devices, they're fine. They're fine. It's, you know, it's fine. Cool. I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about. I guess one last thing I will mention while I'm here is that the packs now look a lot different in the store. Hello. The look and feel, it's going to take you a minute to adjust, but it sure is a lot easier to understand how many things are in here now that it tells you. You know, it's like 8 of the titanium steel crates at 100,000. Oh, okay, cool. So it's grouped everything up together so you don't have to manually count yourself. How many Madeline sculptures or sculptures? Wow. How many of those data cards am I getting? Right? It tells you right up front it's 10, right? So I think that's kind of nice. Does the math for you here. This is a good change overall, I think. But again, I'm eager for your thoughts down below in the comments. What do you think of the new look and feel of the store? For those of you that are making your way into the store, I mean, it's a lot easier to count up the number of Federation Advanced credits in these bundles. And I still do think it's really interesting that the way that the value works for these bundles is they start with higher value and become lower and lower value the more you buy. That is definitely interesting. Monthly specials, these are listed as hot. It doesn't even list the value for this. It just says hot. That's interesting. I don't know what to do with that. Is it good value or is it not good value? It's just hot, baby. Okay. I actually really like the percent value. I actually find that to be fairly helpful. So maybe we'll have to do a little bit of evaluation on some of these bundles that are just kind of hot to see how hot we think they are. Maybe hot means that they're very popular. Lots of people are buying them, but we'll get a look at that perhaps in a future video. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and throw a like on here and consider subscribing for Infinite Galaxy videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And until next time, you have fun smashing your nebula.